Let me tell you the truth. I never wanted to say out loud. My son brought another woman into my home, and she walked in wearing my mother's necklace. The same necklace I thought I lost years ago. I can still see it, that gold catching the kitchen light like it belonged to her. Like it had never touched my skin. Like my history, my stories, my mother, were nothing more than decoration on a stranger's neck. My son smiled like everything was normal. Mama, this is my assistant. Assistant. Lord, the lies we tell ourselves before the truth finally stands up. I stood there holding a dish towel, not moving, not breathing, just listening to my own heartbeat pounding so loud it felt like it wanted to escape my chest. And in that moment, before she even said hello, a voice inside me whispered something I have tried my whole life to push away. You were replaced long before today. That hurts to admit, even now. But pain has a way of dragging the truth out of you, and I'm too old to keep truths buried under good manners. So sit with me. I'm going to tell you how I got here to this exact night, with a stranger wearing my past around her neck, and my son standing beside her like he couldn't feel the storm rising in me. This story didn't start with her. It didn't even start with him. It started years ago, on the day I learned how to love everybody except myself. I didn't sleep that night. Not a second. I just lay there staring at the ceiling, replaying her smile, and that necklace glimmering like it had forgotten me. But pain never shows up alone. It comes dragging memories behind it. Memories you swore you buried deep enough to never see daylight again. And as I stared into the dark, I found myself drifting back to when my son was just a little boy, running through our old apartment with socks sliding on the floors, calling, "Mama, watch me, look at me." Lord, I used to look at him like he hung the moon, like he was the only thing in this world that could save me from myself. I raised him alone. No husband, no partner. Just me, my paycheck, and whatever strength I hadn't cried out in the shower. And back then, I thought love meant giving everything. Every dollar, every hour, every piece of my soul. But here's the truth I never said out loud. Sometimes I gave so much that I didn't leave any room for him to give back. I tried to be perfect. The perfect mama, the perfect provider, the perfect shield against a world that was too hard on black boys. I worked nights, weekends, double shifts. And every time he asked, "Mama, can you come to my school event?" I gave him the same tired promise. "Next time, baby. Mama's working." I didn't see it then, but each next time became a brick. And one day, without meaning to, we built a wall between us. Slow, quiet, invisible. I think that wall is why he didn't notice the storm in my eyes tonight. Why he didn't see how that necklace cut into me. Why he didn't hear the crack in my voice when I said, "Oh, nice to meet you." Sometimes the distance doesn't come all at once. Sometimes it starts with all the things you meant to say, but never did. And as I lay there, drowning in memories I never asked for, I whispered into the darkness. Maybe I taught him to survive, but not to come back to me. That's when the tears came. Slow, hot, heavy, like they were carrying all 60 years of my life in them. And for the first time in a long time, I wondered if the necklace was never the problem. Maybe it was just the mirror, showing me everything I had lost, and everything I never learned to keep. The next morning, I moved through my kitchen like a ghost. Every sound felt louder than usual. The kettle boiling, the chair scraping, even the soft creak of the window when I opened it for air. I kept replaying her face in my mind. That young woman with my necklace, smiling like she had a right to it. But if I'm honest, painfully honest, it wasn't her smile that hurt me. It was the ease she had with my son, the ease I used to have, before life carved its distance between us. I remember when he was 16, tall already, eyes full of storms he didn't know how to talk about. That's around the time he started pulling away. Not with anger, just silence. A long, stretching silence I didn't know how to break. I would knock on his door and ask, "You okay, baby?" And he'd say, "Yeah, Mama, I'm fine." But his voice always sounded like he was talking from behind a locked door. I blamed myself. I told myself I worked too much. I told myself he needed a father. I told myself every story except the one that was true. I never let him see me break. Not once. I thought strength meant keeping my tears hidden, keeping my fears tucked away, pretending I was made of steel. But children, they don't bond with your strength. They bond with your softness, the softness I never allowed myself to show. One night I remember it clear as sunrise. He came home late, eyes red, hands shaking. I wanted to ask what happened. I wanted to hold him. I wanted to say, "You can lean on me. You don't have to carry this alone." But I stayed quiet, afraid if I opened my mouth, all my own broken pieces would spill out. So instead I said the smallest, safest thing. "Food's on the stove." He nodded and walked past me, like a stranger who knew the directions better than I did. That morning, staring into my coffee cup, I finally understood something I had run from for years. Time equals sign 0.7s. You can love a child with your whole soul and still fail to let them love you back. Maybe that's why seeing that woman in my necklace felt so sharp. She wasn't just wearing jewelry. She was wearing all the years I wish I had done differently. All the moments I didn't show up. All the softness I never gave. And for the first time in my life, I whispered the words I had been too proud to speak. I should have been braver with my love. I kept my feelings to myself for 2 days. 2 long, heavy days. My house felt strange, like someone had rearranged the air. I moved slower, talked softer, found myself staring out the window as if the answers were hidden in the neighbor's trees. And somewhere between sunrise and sunset, a thought settled on me like dust. Maybe the pain I saw in my son was the pain I had handed him. See, the women in my family, my mama, my grandmother, her mother before her, we all carried our hurt like it was part of our bloodline. We didn't talk about heartbreak. We swallowed it. We didn't cry in front of nobody. We waited until the house was empty, then let the tears fall in silence. And I used to think that was strength. Lord, I really did. I thought I was protecting my son by showing him a version of me that never cracked, never bent, never broke. But strength without softness, it hardens you, turns love into duty, turns warmth into distance. I remember one afternoon when he was 12. I came home tired, angry at the world, and he ran to the door holding up a drawing he made of us, his little voice saying, "Look, Mama, it's you and me." And God forgive me, I barely looked at it. I said. "Not now, baby. Mama's exhausted." I still remember how his face fell, just a shadow passing over him. Then he folded the drawing and slipped it into his backpack. I never saw it again. That memory came back to me, as sharp as a blade, the moment I saw that woman wearing my necklace. Because suddenly I wasn't looking at her. I was looking at every moment I had pushed my son away, without meaning to. Every cracked smile, every tired dismissal, every "not now" that felt small to me, but heavy to him. And I realized something that broke me open. The things we don't heal don't disappear. They slip quietly into our children's hands. I never meant to pass down coldness. I never meant to pass down silence. I never meant to teach him that love must be earned by being strong, quiet, and self-contained. So as I sat there at my kitchen table, staring at my own reflection in the dark window, I whispered something soft. Something I should have said years ago. Level has moderate. "I'm sorry, baby. You didn't deserve the parts of me that were still hurting." And for the first time, I allowed myself to admit that the distance between us wasn't just his growing up. It was me, holding too tightly to a strength I should have let go of a long time ago. 2 days after they came over, my son called and asked if they could visit again. Just like that, casual, light, as if nothing in my world had shifted. I said yes, my voice steady, but my hands shaking so hard I had to sit down. I spent the whole afternoon moving plates around the table, rearranging napkins, lighting candles and blowing them out, trying to calm a heart that didn't want calming. When they finally knocked, I swear the air in my house tightened. My ribs felt too small, my breath too loud. She walked in first this time, smiling, warm, polite. And there it was again, that gold necklace resting right above her collarbone. My mother's necklace, my inheritance, my last piece of home. I tried to smile, tried to keep my voice from trembling as I said, "Welcome. Make yourselves comfortable." But something unexpected happened at that table. Something I never prepared for. She spoke to me, not like someone passing through my son's life, but like someone trying, sincerely, to be part of it. She said, "Your son talks about you all the time." And I froze so hard I nearly dropped my fork. My son? Talking about me? That boy has barely looked me in the eyes for years. I didn't know what to say. My throat tightened. My heart softened in a way it hadn't in a long time. She kept going. Soft, careful words. Words that felt like someone gently opening a door I had kept locked. "He said you're the strongest woman he knows. He said you protected him. He said he wouldn't be where he is without you." And Lord, the tears that rose up in me were sudden and fierce. I blinked them back, but my voice cracked when I whispered, "He never told me that." My son looked up, surprised, almost hurt, like he couldn't understand why I'd say such a thing. Then he said something that hit me harder than any necklace ever could. "Mama, I tried. You just never wanted me to worry about you." And just like that, the years between us cracked. Not enough to break open, but enough for light to slip through. For the first time in a long, long while, we looked at each other not as mother and son with old wounds, but as two people who had spent years, trying and failing, to protect each other from pain. After dinner, the three of us sat in the living room. The air felt gentler, softer, like someone had finally opened a window that had been shut for years. She sat across from me, hands folded neatly in her lap. My son sat beside her, shoulders relaxed for the first time that night. I didn't plan to bring it up. Lord knows I tried to let it rest. But my eyes kept drifting to that necklace, my mother's necklace, glowing against her skin like a question I could no longer avoid. Finally, I cleared my throat. My voice small, unsure. "Sweetheart, can I ask you something?" She looked up, warm and open. "Of course." I pointed gently toward her collarbone. "That necklace. Where did you get it?" My son stiffened. Just a little, but enough for me to feel the shift in the room. She touched the pendant, surprised. "Oh, this? He gave it to me." My heart thudded once, hard. I felt my breath catch in my chest. My son leaned forward, eyes softening in a way I hadn't seen in years. "Mama, I found it in an old box. I thought you didn't want it anymore." Those words hit me like a wave, knocked the air right out of me. "Didn't want it." My voice cracked before I could stop it. "Baby, that necklace was the last thing my mother ever gave me." He frowned, confused, truly confused. "But it was packed away. I figured, if it mattered, you'd wear it." And right then, the truth opened like a deep wound between us. He thought my silence meant indifference. I thought his distance meant he didn't care. A lifetime of misunderstandings, collapsing into one moment. I sat back, covered my eyes with one hand, my voice trembling as I said, "I didn't wear it because it hurt too much, baby. Losing her, it broke something in me I never learned to fix." For the first time in years, my son reached for me, his hand warm, steady, grounding. "Mama, I didn't know." And that girl, the one I thought was replacing me, she took off the necklace slowly, carefully, like it was something sacred. She placed it into my hands and whispered, "It belongs to you." I looked down at the pendant, warm from her skin, heavy with memory, and felt a crack inside me soften. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't angry. I wasn't threatened. I wasn't invisible. I was just a mother, holding a piece of her past, while her son watched with eyes that finally understood the weight of what she carried. That night after they left, I sat alone in my living room with the necklace resting in my palm. The house felt different. Not lighter, not heavier, just honest. Healing, I realized, doesn't arrive like sunlight, bright and sudden. No. It comes slow, like dawn creeping through a window you forgot you left open. I traced my thumb over the pendant, remembering the last day I saw my mother. The way she pressed this necklace into my hand and whispered, "Don't let the world harden you." Lord, if only she knew how tightly I held on to hardness, just to survive. As I sat there, something tugged at my memory. A small, gentle thing. My son at 10 years old, crawling into my bed after a nightmare, whispering, "Mama, don't let go." Back then, I wrapped my arms around him, like I could shield him from the whole world. But somewhere along the way, I stopped holding him, and I didn't realize he had stopped holding me too. I wiped a tear from my cheek, the kind of tear that comes not from sadness, but from finally telling yourself the truth. I stood up, walked to the hallway mirror, and slowly fastened the necklace around my own neck. The metal felt cold at first, then strangely warm, like it was remembering me. I stared at my reflection, at the woman I had become. Tired, yes, but still standing. Still here. Still capable of softness. And in that moment, something shifted inside me. Not a dramatic break. Not a sudden transformation. Just a small, steady truth settling into place. I don't have to stay the same woman I was. Not for my son. Not for the past. Not even for myself. Healing didn't mean pretending nothing hurt. It meant letting the hurt breathe, without letting it win. I sat back down, placed my hands in my lap, and whispered into the quiet room. I'm ready to fix what I broke, even if I have to start with myself. And for the first time in years, I felt something soft, something light, rise in my chest. Not joy, not yet, but hope. And Lord, hope is enough to start a whole new life. The next morning, I woke up with the necklace still around my neck. I don't even remember falling asleep with it on. But somehow, it felt right, like something that had finally come home. I made myself a cup of tea, sat by the window, and let the sunlight warm my face. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't rush my thoughts away. I realized I had lived my whole life, speaking around the truth instead of speaking it. I told people I was fine when I was breaking. I said I didn't need help when I was drowning. I kept quiet when I should have screamed. And somehow, my silence taught my son that silence was love. That distance was safety. That closeness was danger. I pressed my hand against my chest, right where the pendant rested. It felt like it was whispering something I had ignored for years. Tell the truth before it's too late. So I picked up my phone. My fingers shook, like I was dialing a stranger instead of my own child. When he answered, his voice sounded tired, but gentle. Hey, Mama. I swallowed hard, felt my throat close up, the way it always did, right before I talked myself out of honesty. But this time, I pushed through it. Baby, I think we need to talk. Not about the necklace. About us. There was a silence, a long, heavy silence, the kind that used to scare me. But when he finally spoke, his voice wasn't cold. It was soft, almost relieved. I've been waiting for that, Mama. Those words hit me so deep, I had to close my eyes, because suddenly I understood. My son wasn't avoiding me. He was waiting for me, waiting for the version of me that wasn't made of steel and silence. I took a breath, a long, shaky breath, and said the hardest words I had ever spoken. I'm sorry if I ever made you feel like you couldn't come to me. He didn't hesitate, not even a second. Mama, you're not the only one who made mistakes. And in that moment, something inside me loosened, a knot I had carried for years, the kind that keeps a heart small. I didn't know what would happen next. But for the first time, I wasn't afraid of the truth. I was ready for it. Ready for whatever healing had left to do. He came over that evening. No assistant. No guests. Just my son, standing in the doorway like he wasn't sure if he should step inside. I opened the door wider, gave him the softest smile I could manage. "Come on in, baby." We sat at the same table where all our misunderstandings began. Funny how a piece of wood can hold so much history, so many unsaid words. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The silence between us didn't feel angry this time, just full of things waiting to be released. He glanced at the necklace around my neck, his voice low, cautious. "Does it feel okay to wear it again?" I touched the pendant gently. "It does now." Then I took a breath, the kind you take before stepping into cold water, and finally said the words that had been sitting in my chest for decades. "I'm sorry I didn't know how to be soft with you, and I'm sorry I made you think you had to face the world alone." His eyes dropped. He rubbed his hands together, a nervous habit he's had since he was a boy. "Mama, you did your best." I shook my head gently. My best wasn't always what you needed. He looked up then, really looked at me, and I saw something I hadn't seen in years. Vulnerability, raw and unguarded. "I wanted to come to you. I just didn't know how. You were always untouchable." Those words broke something inside me, not in a painful way, but like a wall, finally giving way to light. I reached across the table and placed my hand over his. His fingers trembled beneath mine. "Baby, I'm not untouchable. I'm just human. A tired, flawed, stubborn woman who spent too long pretending she wasn't hurting." He let out a breath, shaky, emotional, like he had been holding it for years. "I miss you, Mama." My voice cracked before the words even formed. "I miss you too, baby." And just like that, the distance that had stretched between us for so long shrank until it was just a small space, easily crossed by a touch, a tear, a single honest breath. For the first time in years, we weren't mother and son trapped in old wounds. We were two souls finally speaking, the same language again. A week later, my son called and asked if I wanted to meet him for lunch. No tension in his voice, no distance. Just warmth, the kind I hadn't heard since he was a boy. We met at a little cafe by the river. I got there first, sat by the window, watched the sunlight dance on the water. I felt calm, almost peaceful. When he walked in, he wasn't in a hurry, wasn't distracted, wasn't guarded. He hugged me, really hugged me, both arms wrapped tight, like he was afraid to let go. And in that moment, I knew something had shifted between us. Something real. We talked for hours, not about the past, not about mistakes, not about wounds. We talked about life, work, the little things, the kind of things people talk about when they finally feel safe with each other. At one point, he reached for my hand and said quietly, "Mama, I want you in my life, not just in the background." My breath caught. I felt my heart soften, like wet clay in warm hands. "Baby, I'm here, and I'm staying." We didn't need more than that. Sometimes the biggest healing is found in the smallest, simplest words. When we walked outside, the evening was settling in. Pink sky, warm breeze, the world moving quietly around us. He looked at me, hands in his pockets, head tilted like he was studying me, the way you look at someone. "You're just now beginning to understand. Mama, you know she likes you, right?" I smiled, touched the necklace resting against my chest. I like her too. And Lord, the relief in his eyes told me more than words ever could. As we said goodbye, he pulled me close again. Long, warm, the kind of hug that says, we found our way back. I drove home slowly, letting the moment settle in me, letting it rewrite something old and painful into something soft and living. When I got home, I stood in front of the mirror and touched the necklace once more. But this time, it didn't hurt. It didn't feel heavy. It felt like a circle, a full circle. And I whispered to my reflection, to my mother, to the girl I once was, to the woman I am now. Love isn't about holding on so tight that nobody can breathe. Love is letting your heart stay open, even after it's been broken. Then I smiled, a slow, peaceful smile, because for the first time in 60 years, I finally understood that loving others and loving myself don't have to live on opposite sides of the same door. And Lord, what a beautiful thing it is to finally walk through that door.